Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. It is 10 o'clock and time to get started on this kind of sunny Wednesday mornings. Starting to poke through a little bit here. My name is Randy Lober, your growth marketing manager here at Action Benefits, and happy to lead you through today's session, Write Better, Sell More, tips and tricks from our marketing team, which, spoiler, is me as well as a few other folks here. Joining me here today is Renee Tabal, who has spent a long time on the account management side over in selling insurance, and is now an account manager over here in helping you sell insurance. Renee, I want you to give it, say hi to the folks before we get started here today.
Hi, Randy. I'm glad to be here today. Again, I'm one of the account managers on the individual team. So thank you to all the agents who are joining us. And if you should have any questions after this session, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. We are happy to help answer your questions.
Thank you for joining, Renee, and I look forward to hearing from your experience here today, especially when from the agency side of things, thinking about how some of these tips could help our agents as they're here in the field. So before we get started, what gives me credibility to talk about this topic? Well, you got an email that got you here, as well as a landing page that got you into this event, right? Handcrafted by yours truly. So at least we were successful enough to market to you, right, and get you in the door here today. Share some of the tips that I've learned in perfecting this craft or honing this craft. I won't say I've perfected the craft just yet, but it's always nice to hear how other people approach some of the problems. And I want to share some of those solutions with you that we found, and give you a chance to chime in and maybe try some chops of your own here today. So there's two things we want to accomplish here today. First thing is I want you to be able to identify some of these elements of effective copywriting, and we'll talk about what copywriting it is and how it fits into our schema here. And also at the back end of the presentation, once we've talked about some of those kind of 6 rules or 6 key elements, I want to give you a chance to play with some examples of effective and ineffective copy, hear your thoughts on them, and see what these rules could look like in action. Pun only a little bit intended, I guess. Before we get started, though, want to know a little bit about who's in the room with us. Just a letter response in the chat is fine here today. Which of these statements best describes you? Is it A, you're new to the industry, B, you're new to working with Action but have experience in the business, C, you have some experience with us and the industry, but you're looking to refine your writing, or D, you're a seasoned pro, you just love spending time with Action. There's like no better way you could spend a Wednesday morning. Which one of those best describes you? Go ahead and put just a letter in the chat for us, please. Nearly uniformly, whether you're chatting publicly or privately, you are C's. You have experience with us, you know who we are, what we do, but you're looking to take that next step and maybe take away a tip or two to refine your writing and maybe either earn more leads or convert more leads into sales going forward. That's where we'll spend our time here today. While I'm sad that none of you said you love spending time with us, I know that I do love my time here with you here this morning. Let's go ahead and get started and talk about what the kind of writing we're talking about here today. We're talking about copywriting. And when we say copywriting, I want to kind of lay out this definition pretty bare for us. All the writing we talk about here today is writing that's intended to convince your reader to take some specific action, whether it's to click the next button on your website, to reply to your email, to finally enroll in that coverage that you've been talking about going back and forth for the past 45 days. Whatever the case is, right? One of the key pieces or key functions of all the writing you do in your work is you want your reader, the person who's receiving that message, no matter the media, to do something. So we're talking specifically about that kind of writing here today. We're not talking about thank you notes or anything else. We're just talking about simple tweaks we can make to convince people to do what we want or need them to do. So without any further ado, we're going to talk here today about 6 rules of copywriting that I think you'll be able to take home, follow, and go forward with from here. Here is where you will want to have your pencils very sharp. First rule of copywriting is think of a reason or give people a reason to choose you. why should, out of all the health insurance agents out there, or even if you have side gigs and health insurance isn't your main gig, this rule is pretty universal. Give people a reason to choose you. Why should they work with you? And generally, we know from psychology and a bunch of other behavior studies that people buy products for one of four main reasons. They buy a product or buy a service or use a service because they either want to make money, save time, or avoid effort. As insurance agents, probably that first reason is out, right? That your consumers aren't partnering with you because they want to make money. In fact, especially if you're in the P&C realm at all, you're hearing a lot about, this is costing me a lot more money lately, right? So that may not be a reason people choose you. You could talk about how you save money depending on the market compliance regulations you might be subject to there. But again, here in this moment with what's going on in the broader market around us, saving money could be a tricky sell, right? With premiums inching ever upward in nearly every segment of the market, you might have a hard time differentiating yourself around that. But what you can do in two areas where I encourage you to lean in on and explore is, how do you save your clients time? Do you save them time by thinking about, simplifying the enrollment process, or spending time in carrier, call queues so they don't have to when they're working on a service issue? Or how do you help your clients avoid effort? People, generally speaking, we're victims of inertia. We don't want to put in more effort than we're already doing somewhere else because we just don't know where we're going to find the effort, where the time to get something done. So if you can sell me, or rather you can sell your clients on the idea that you help them avoid effort, you avoid helping them put in detailed research into copays and deductibles and how they work together, and you can kind of serve it up on a silver platter for them alongside the rest of your service offerings, you're a little bit better or further down the road in serving them. So that's the first thing I kind of want you to think about here, and I'd love to see your answers in the chat. How might your business or how might your agency help consumers make money, save time, or avoid effort? This is kind of like a little laboratory here, right? This would be your first crack at writing. Just give me a bullet point or so. How does your business, help consumers do these things? I'll give you a moment to write in the chat while I take a sip of water, and then we'll check in with Renee here. Renee, while they're warming up their typing fingers, as you think about, your history in account management, whether on the agency side or at our side, what are some of the ways that, that your businesses, your firms have gotten people on board with them in these four categories here?
Well, the save time. Agents are very busy, and not every agency has support staff. So the first thing that came to mind was, when you were giving those examples, Randy, was like our actions coverage for one platform. You can save time by showing multiple options. You're saving your clients time. The resources are right there. And you're also saving time on the back end when it comes to, not having to submit paperwork. You're just electronically submitting. So that's the first thing that came to mind with all these examples.
Yeah, and really that translates into saving time for your clients too, right? Shopping, doctors and drugs across carriers, you could give your personal link to them, so you get credit for the sale, but also they get out there and are able to, see things for themselves. Certainly that helps them save time, maybe not effort, right? Maybe not every consumer is interested in, self-quoting and self-enrolling and things like that. But there's certainly an aspect you can work with there. See some other folks writing in privately about how they, provide that effort or that customer service that helps people save time or avoid effort. All good things to mention there. Second rule I'd love for you to take away today is that it's never about you. And if you imagine this young lady is sitting across the table from you, or sitting across the webinar, or wherever the case, she is never thinking, the thought never once crosses her mind that, gosh, I sure hope my agent or the person across the table from me meets their commission goals this month. What she is worried about, though, is how will this coverage meet my needs? Or is this a fair price for me? Or will I get what was promised? Will the carrier deliver on what I'm being sold here? That's what they're concerned about. And so when we write, we need to write to address those concerns and not just kind of toot our own horns. So if your writing focuses on you, you're likely using words like I, me, my, we, and ours. We and ours, of course, if you're maybe using the royal we or talking about your agency. And if you notice in your writing that you're using a lot of those, especially when you're trying to, cross-sell or introduce a new product line, or get someone to click on that ad to come to your website, if you're seeing a lot of those, that means you're really writing about yourself. And for a lot of consumers, that doesn't resonate the same way. But if you shift that writing a little bit to have those words focus on them, including you, your, and yours, right? Providing ways so they can see themselves in the writing, see themselves in the scenario you're presenting, you're going a long way toward getting them more engaged. For a real practical example of that, we can take a simple sentence like this, where this might be really true. I offer the best plans money can buy. No one will dispute that, but that's really all about you. And I, as a consumer of insurance products, I don't know if I care about that, right? I might be concerned about learning about the best plans, but I'm not really drawn to meeting my needs here. But if I turn that sentence on its head, right, and remove the I, remove the agent from that, and instead make it prospect focused, I could look at something like this. Your diabetic needs will be well cared for by this carrier. And you could go on to say, they have, great care teams. They provide additional benefits at no cost. They provide your testing supplies at no cost, so on and so forth. And really make that illustration, right, about how it fits their needs as opposed to why you like it. You're going a long way toward helping them convert there. So I want to give you a sample sentence here. Let me tell you about the great benefits that XYZ plan offers. What are some ways, or how could you shift that to be a little more prospect centered, or to get them really hooked in with that email, with that quote, with whatever it is you're putting in front of them there. I'll give you a chance to write about that, and then we'll check in a moment. Okay, so seeing some folks kind of echoing a lot of the language we used on the previous slide about your diabetic needs to be well cared for by this carrier. Joanne brings up that plan XYZ has great benefits that you'll be able to use, right? So being able to tie that benefit to a need that your client has expressed makes a lot of sense. Seeing some other folks, think a little about, say, wait a minute, I'm not ready to write this sentence yet because I need to know more about my client. And that's a fair point, right? You might need to know which needs to target. I would have had to have interviewed the client a little bit and done some level of needs assessment here to say that their diabetic needs to be well cared for by that carrier. Absolutely, all good points here. So if we might not be ready to convert them just yet if we don't know anything about them. So that discovery process can be important. Renee, anything to add in here at this point?
Nope, I had the same response as Joanne, so I was thinking the same thing.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at tip number 3 here. And this one is one of the hardest ones, I think, to wrap your heads around. Because especially in fast-paced business world and things like that, everyone always tells you, make it short, make it snappy, make it bullet points. And they say that because, as we all get addicted to dopamine and social media and whatnot, our attention spans get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. We just want to move on to the next thing. So the rule here is define your benefits, not your features. And if we look at feature-focused bullets, if I were to go over maybe, I would say, a lot of marketing material we see out there from agencies, they mention their superior customer service, knowledgeable experts, and 30 years of industry experience. You're right. You're painting these features, right, of your agency as something that would entice the consumer to partner with you. And those are short and those are snappy. They don't do much for me, right? They don't really connect me and tell me how working with you will benefit me. And that really, as a consumer, is what I want to know. So if the words are well crafted enough, right, and people will read long things, only look to the success of series like Game of Thrones, The Dark Tower, right, all those big, long novels and series and things like that, people will read if the writing is engaging enough. So you can talk about your benefits a little bit, and you can expand those to say something like this. Breathe easy knowing our seasoned team help you pick benefits to match your unique needs. That communicates everything those bullets on the left here say, right? It communicates that we're knowledgeable, communicates that we have knowledgeable, some superior customer service, but it gives me, the consumer, a really, clear picture of what partnering with you is like and what I would expect to earn from that relationship. And that, again, might be, the nudge I need to work with your agency over another. So I want to think about this bullet here for just a moment and asking again for your participation here. I have a bullet here. Maybe you have advertised or have somewhere on your portfolio that you have a large, or in your ad material, you have a large portfolio of plans. How could you shift that language to be more benefit focused? And I'll give you a moment to think about that before we check in with you, what you're thinking. And I'm seeing some language that reminds me of that CMS Medicare disclaimer that many of you use if you're working the Medicare market, about how many carriers you partner with and how many products they all offer in that market. Those numbers mean nothing to a consumer, right? At least nothing that's enticing. They don't care whether you offer 10 plans, 50 plans, or 1,000 plans for that matter, because they don't know the difference between them. It doesn't matter that those numbers are there. What does matter, though, is whether or not their needs get met. So I love this example coming in here in the chat here is, we absolutely have a plan to meet your unique needs, or we have a plan that could be good fitting for your unique needs. Or we listen to your needs, we listen to your conditions and what you want to get out of this, and present a plan that fits your business or presents fits what you want to get out of that. That's a great way to take that number of plans you might partner with, and especially if you do partner with a number of carriers, and make it real and tangible for your prospects, your clients, is again showing how that large portfolio of plans can distinctly benefit them. Oops. Fourth rule I want to bring to your attention here today is write a headline that converts. And what I mean by headlines is, just like a newspaper article, is the first thing that your reader interacts with before they read anything else. So if you're writing a blog, right, you're writing a blog title. If you're writing an email, you have a subject line. If you are writing a social media ad, you probably have that language that appears bigger than everything else, right? And if that headline, that piece that takes up the prominent space on the page is compelling enough, your readers will read the rest of the page. On the page here, I give you a few tried and true formulas, but I do encourage you to innovate. These are tried and true, and because they are tried and true, you'll see them everywhere, but they do work to a good extent. You could write about how every business owner can afford small group insurance for their insurance agency, or how to get the best fitting Medicare Advantage plan, or 3 easy ways to save money on your health insurance, or 5 quick ways to get a hospital indemnity policy and avoid out-of-pocket bills. So there's lots of different formulas you could use there, right? Maybe you could plug, some insurance topic in and build a benefit in on the back end, and it gives something engaging right away for your consumers to read. You might also see, tons of articles using formulas like these. And yeah, they're cheesy and you see them everywhere, but the reason everyone does it is because it works to some extent, right? It gets people to open, it gets people to read, it gets people to take one more step into whatever it is you're writing. So I encourage you to think a bit about those as you are going forward in your own writing. Renee, anything to add about headlines or those feature-focused bullets before we move forward here?
It is important for agents and even support staff to kind of listen to what clients are asking, what questions they're asking. They could be very repetitive. the same question is asked multiple times. So maybe a good way for kind of agents to look back and kind of think about what questions are their clients asking them, and looking at what questions are being asked might actually help an agent come up with a great headline, or different um, topics to talk about, and make this how to write a headline a little bit easier for them.
Absolutely. Your clients are the best source of your ad material, of your testimonials, of anything else, right? Because they are the people that are experiencing pain points with either the product or with pain points with insurance in general. The more you know about them, the more you talk to them, the more you are kind of writing down the questions, or at least the concerns that they're having, the better you can write content, whether it's an ad or anything else that really taps into what they're feeling, what they're worried about, what they're anxious about. And you can use this blog, right, or the social media post to ease some of that tension and let them know that you're a credible source, a trustworthy source, and let them and show rather than tell how you can solve some of their problems with and for them. Fifth rule we have for you today is to make your call to action count. And what we mean by a call to action is at the bottom of every web page, right? There's a button that says click here for more, or call me or register, right? That call to action is something part of the web page or the article or the letter that's visually distinct and tells your reader exactly what you want them to do while reinforcing why they should do it. So if you were to cruise around the internet, you would probably see on a variety of web pages some less effective CTAs and things that you probably have not clicked on that often. Things like call me or register or email me or submit. None of those give me a really compelling reason to do that thing, right? Why should I call you? Why should I register for this webinar? Why should I email you? Why should I submit this form when I know all I'm going to get is more marketing emails from you on the back end? Instead, you can think about your CTAs. And again, these call to actions don't have to be on websites, right? Think about maybe your mailers or anything else, or even a flyer. Think about why a consumer should take that action. Schedule your free benefit consultation. Learn more about hospital indemnity products. Get the answers to all your benefit questions. That's a compelling reason for me to call you, or see it in action. Maybe you're giving them a demonstration of something or some of the sort, showing them how a product works, or walking through a claims example of how that hospital indemnity plan can fill in the gaps in the Medicare Advantage plan. There's lots of different ways you can approach these and craft these. Whatever the case is, though, when you can show them exactly what benefit they get from clicking on that button or writing into you or calling you, they're more likely to take that action. And the final rule I'll bring to you today, before we talk about some concrete examples here, is beg, borrow, steal, and practice. So what I challenge you to do is, either if you have manila folders or maybe somewhere on your desktop, is to start a library of any copy anywhere that grabs your attention, whether it's an ad, a direct mailer you get, emails or flyers, anything that's like remotely interesting to you that made you go, huh, that was cool. Keep it, because it's good source material for you to kind of mimic or reinvent going forward. And I do encourage you to use copy from almost any source, because lots of insurance agents, frankly, we write the same. We tell everyone that we have good customer service and you should work with us because, or we tell everyone that I can help you save money on your premiums. And it all kind of fades into the background a little bit here. So if you look at some outside ideas, they might give you some angles to explore as you move forward. Also, you don't get better, just like anything, right? You don't get better unless you practice. So find ways to keep practicing and reinventing. When you put the reps in on your writing here, of course, your writing will get better. And always review that copy as if you were your reader. Does it still do what you intended? When you are writing that email, where you're presenting the quote or the quotes to your clients, Does your message sound as though you're asking them to enroll, or are you really giving them options or ways to weasel out of it, right? So how are you funneling your attention, or how would you feel as a reader while reading that piece? When in doubt, always get feedback from a trusted partner. Maybe if you're in a smaller agency, there's no one else you can kind of lean over your shoulder. Maybe you're without that mentor. Anyone here at Action is happy to be that partner here with you. Either talk to your account manager, talk to anyone in our marketing team, and we're happy to kind of give you feedback, right, on what you might be able to do next with either that ad copy or that marketing email or whatever it is that you're working on there. And always you need a way to measure your effectiveness and adjust, right? If you're just sending letters or emails or flyers out there to the void, but you're not tracking what you get back from those, you don't know what's working or what's not. So always want ways to kind of keep in mind what your goals are. Is my goal to get more leads from this? Is my goal to get more conversions? If so, how many more leads, how many more conversions? So you can see how their copy is performing relative to that goal. As we pause here for a moment before we talk about some concrete examples of these rules in action, I want to pause one more time. Consider all those 6 rules we just shared. Which of them seem easier for you to incorporate in your writing, and which seems like a stretch right here at the moment for you? Take a moment to chime in the chat, please. And Renee, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a minute, but as you think about your own writing and how you work with people, which of these rules do you find yourselves going to a little easier? Which of them seems like a stretch for you?
Oh, you are putting me on the spot, Randy.
Yep.
Um, just making sure the client's needs are being met. Making certain that the agents, everyone's listening to the client, what they're, thinking about, what they're looking for. But I had a thought actually, if I can go back just 1 second, Randy, too. Getting back to which is a great, your last slide was a great one to share. A thought that popped in was making certain that when you're looking at email, direct mail, flyers, anything like that, making where the information is consistent, where if your contact information is consistent with, clients know how to contact agents, or if they update their information, make certain it's all this, consistent. So customers know how to reach clients know how to reach their agents if they need to reach out to them.
Yes, absolutely. And if I can add one more piece about contact information there, on a lot of things, it does make great sense to have your phone number. Especially like when you're doing mailers and things like that, because people can hold them and touch them and work from there. And I'm not going to name any particular names, but you've probably seen some of these billboards if you're driving around the Metro Detroit area, whether it's for personal injury lawyers or anything else. You see a lot of people put a lot of these law firms, a lot of insurance agencies, to be frank, put their phone numbers on the billboard, which sounds like something you would want to do generally, so people can call you and talk to you. But unless that number is a vanity number, like 1-800-CALL-SAM, right, that is easy to remember, putting that phone number on the billboard does you absolutely no good, right? Or like 867-5309. That's pretty memorable. But if your phone number is a random like 248-603-9292 or whatever it might be, that might be a little bit tougher to remember. And certainly the average person while they're driving is not going to be jotting that down just because they see it, right? But 1-800-CALL-SAM, that certainly is memorable. That's something I can remember going forward. So a little tip, if you're thinking about billboard buys going forward, about what information belongs in there and what might not. All that said, some of you said that putting the client first in your language actually is one of the easier shifts for you. The things that sound like a stretch are defining features, not benefits, right? Simply because we are conditioned to keep it short sometimes. But I again want to challenge that notion. People will read longer copy. People won't read boring copy. So make sure it's copy that they can really connect with going forward. So let's talk a little bit about fine-tuning our approach here. We're going to give you a chance to see some of these rules in action from either real or simulated pieces of copy that you might see in the insurance field. So suppose here I have this John Q agent works in the Medicare industry, and he has recently signed someone up for a Medicare Advantage plan. He sends an email that sounds like this. The subject line is, remember your post-discharge meals benefit. Dear Sarah, thank you for allowing me to help with your Medicare planning. Don't forget your plan is a post-discharge meals benefit. As we talked about your needs, that benefit stood out as a difference maker for you, especially with your surgery coming up. Also, I want to make you aware of a benefit that can offset both the medical and non-medical costs that come with a cancer diagnosis. Should that occur, I want you to be able to focus on getting better, not paying bills. Please let me know if you'd like to discuss this benefit in more detail. Thank you, John Q. Agent. On the left side of your screen are the 6 rules we've talked about. Would you kindly just put a few numbers in? Which rules of copywriting does this piece of copy seem to follow? That's all I want to see. Does it check the boxes for you on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Go ahead and put those numbers in the chat here. Seeing some competing answers coming in, but for my money, so some people say 2, 3, 4. Some people say 3, 4, 5. See some 1 sprinkle in here too. For my money, here's where I think this copy really excels. It gives people a reason to choose you, right? The reason they don't lead with the reason to choose you up here. The reason to choose you, I see, is I want you to focus on getting better, not paying bills. You're helping me. I'm helping you avoid effort and saving money here with the hospital indemnity policy. That's what that sticks out for me. So I guess that's a nice talking point, right? Is these points don't always have to come in order. Secondly, this isn't about the agent at all, right? This is all about what the client can get, what the client has already gotten with that MA policy and what they can get with a cancer rider or a cancer policy there. And again, it does well to talk about benefits, right? You can pay for your treatment here. You're not talking about a cancer policy works like this. When you get cancer, it gives you money and so on and so forth. You're really focusing on the experience that the client could have there. And again, the headline for me, take or leave, but it's stronger than some I've seen, right? Remember your post-discharge meals benefit. Again, that could connect with the client. It gives them a way to remember that they're working with you, especially when they pair it with John Q. Agent's name. That works. For me to call to action, you're right. None of you called that out as something that this did well. And that is a little soft for me too. And I don't know, we'll check 6 here at all. But I put it on the slide for completeness sake. Renee, is there anything that caught your eye or did not catch your eye about this email here?
No, I think the 1 through 4, yep, that's exactly how that email reads. And just listening to the email out loud, I mean, it's not about the agent, it's about the client.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's take a look at a second example here. This is the same agent who also dabbles in life as well, so health, accident, life licensed. This is John Q. Agent. He's running a Facebook ad in his local area, trying to drum up some business for life insurance. And he's also running this in September. He's not running this right now. Because September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. Are the people you love covered? 30% of adults say they haven't bought life insurance or enough of it because they haven't gotten around to it. Be proactively protective. Message me today to check this important task on your list. And then you see the graphic with the 30% and the link down below. Be proactively protective. Message me today to explore your options. He's gotten likes. He's gotten comments. It's an okay performing post so far. Which of the rules does this copy seem to follow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Go ahead and put those in the chat. Renee, what's on your mind? What does this copy do well before I share my thoughts here?
I think it's, possibly 6, getting ideas, maybe, getting that from somewhere or the idea. There's a couple of them in there. I'm trying to, what would you say, Randy?
Well, I'm glad you asked. And we'll talk a little bit about what some of the things I see here too.
Oh, okay.
A lot of you are calling out to, it's not about you, right? This is all about the adults who haven't bought life insurance yet. This is all about protecting their families. That comes across loud and clear. The reason to give, the reason I see to choose this person is that they're helping me avoid effort by taking the task off my list. Is it the strongest connection? No, and that comes out clear to me because as we see some of the chat responses, none of you answered number one. But like if I was scrambling for points to give this person on an essay, I'd check off number one here. It doesn't do a great job for me of defining the benefits. I don't really know what life insurance would do here or what benefit I get from that. So I'm not completely sold on that one. The headline is compelling for me here. Be proactively protective, and this 30%. When you're scrolling through your social media feed here, I'm going to see this picture of the family. I'm going to see 30%. The headline doesn't have to tell me a lot, but I'm going to wonder right away why this family is here, why this 30% is here, and then my eyes are going to track up here. So I guess that's another reminder to put in place is that headline is just the biggest thing that you see, not necessarily the first thing that comes in chronological order. This is going to be what's going to grab my attention as I'm scrolling. So play with that a little bit as you go forward here. The call to action, be proactively protective and send me a message, like that's compelling. Again, it could be more clear on what I'm writing about it. This edges more on clever writing than clear. They really like their alliteration, that proactively protective. But I can give some credit there. And again, right, they might have borrowed this, and in fact, they did borrow this from a large national carrier that tries to make life insurance awareness a big deal in September. Last example we'll work through here today is actually a piece of carrier copy. I've talked a lot about hospital indemnity plans here today, only because they're front and center, because I need this examples in the presentation. But we're going to do something a little bit different with this piece of copy here today and really show you how you can use what's already out there and make it really effective for you. So you have this example here from GTL. It talks about hospital indemnity, shows you the process of how you build your plan, how you go through those benefits, and shows you the real benefit of working with that plan, right, is that the benefits restored a limited amount of times after 60 days without hospital confinement. So she can use her confinement policy again in the future. All good news. That's nothing that you or the agency wrote. But what some agents have done, and I've heard some success with, is this. They put that flyer in an envelope, attach a sticky note to the top, and all the sticky note says is, lots of my clients are adding this to offset their hospital costs. Call me if you'd like to learn more, from John, and you have your phone number handwritten there. There's a lot of power in that handwritten note. I don't want to give away the game just yet, but I want to hear from you all. What rules does this combination of pieces of copy, both the carrier flyer and the sticky note, what rules does this meet or not meet for you? And Renee, I'm putting you on the spot one more time. As they are thinking about, what numbers work for them, what do you like about this? This approach to copywriting, whether it's tied to a rule or not?
It's showing your clients that you're thinking of them and you're keeping them informed. Again, a great way how to contact, if you want to proceed and learn more, but it's showing that you're thinking of them and you're kind of keeping them informed about what you're seeing in the industry.
Absolutely, right? So there's a bit of don't get left out, right? Lots of people are doing this. Everyone's jumping off the bridge. You should too. That comes in here. Am I unmuted? I am unmuted. Okay. Wanted to make sure I did that. So there's a little bit of like urgency, right? Like, oh, my neighbors are doing this. Maybe I should too. But gosh, the power of a handwritten note is so powerful. So imagine this, right? You have a client sitting at the table. They have a hand-addressed envelope from you. That's interesting. Nobody handwrites envelopes anymore. I've never, the only mail I get anymore is a bill or junk mail. So I've got this handwritten envelope here in front of me. And inside there's a handwritten note to me too. Nobody does that anymore either, right? It's all typewritten form letters and things like that. And yeah, I've got this piece of copy about mine here, but my agent took the time out to write me this sticky note. And even though it doesn't cost you a lot of time, right, to write that sticky note, it is an extra piece of effort that no other agent is taking. But I digress. Let's talk about the rules. And the rules I think this copy excels at is it gives people a reason to choose you. I want to save you money, right? These two sentences communicate that pretty well. It's not about you. Why? Because I want to save you money. What's the feature here? You're offsetting your hospital costs. You're making yourself whole there. The headline, right, as I said, kind of comes in the envelope itself here, right? As you're thinking about this, or you're thinking about the effect of what the client sees first, it's that handwritten envelope, and then the sticky note here. What a powerful personal connection to make. Call to action, it counts here. It's not as strongly worded as some others might be, especially some of the examples we thought about here. But yeah, it's easy. Call me if you want to learn how to save money. 555-555-5555. And of course, you're looking at your carry materials already out there and thinking of a small tweak you could use to really put that back in front of your clients. And gosh, this is one of the easiest examples that you probably have in your arsenal, right? And whether you work with GTL or another carrier, this is a great thing to drop in the mailbox and start some of those cross-sale conversations, because any of those products could be sold year-round. As we head into our last few moments here together today, I want to thank you for your time and attention here today. But before we say goodbye, this is not a session we do very often, so I want some honest feedback from you in the chat here. What did you love about today's session, and where do you wish we spent more time? What do you want to know more about, either in this session, if we were to run it again, or if we did like a copywriting 102 or 7 tips? What else would you want to know more about? I'd love to see a few responses here in the chat. Renee, anything to add from your end before we, while we wait for them to more of their typing fingers here?
Nope, just want to thank all the agents and support staff who are joining us today. Thank you very much for your time. Like Randy said, just a friendly reminder that if you find that if your agency or if the agent has a new phone number, address for their agency, any information that needs to be updated, please reach out to your individual account manager or account manager in general. We'd be happy to get that information updated so we can stay in contact with you and update that on our end too. But thank you.
Okay, so seeing some of the feedback coming in, right? So Amy, we do our best to give you some quick and helpful tips you can put right away. I'm happy to give you all some real life examples here and there. See some things that see some feedback that you like more carrier specific feedback or carrier specific examples, right? So how do I sell this plan, or what bullets come out for me for this plan? And gosh, that'd be really exciting, and that's something to think about. I have to think about how to give all the carriers equal love in a session like that, or maybe there's a few different sessions there. But while we think about that, encourage you to reach out to your account manager, or heck, reach out to me. I'm happy to schedule some time with you and really talk about, where we can, help you better position those products for your clients. Speaking of reaching us, you're always welcome to do so on LinkedIn. So follow us at the Action Benefits Company. Every day, you've got at least 3 pieces of industry news that you can use and reuse and repost, or take and rewrite yourself. I don't care. Copy and paste it from your own profiles, put it in front of your clients to show your expertise in the field. If you want to get in touch with me or Chelsea on my team, or anyone else on the marketing team, you can always reach us at learning@actionbenefits.com, or call our main line at 248-356-8585. Anthony, thank you for your feedback as well. Benefits, not just features, right, is really helpful for getting your message across. All that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for your time and attention. You're going to hear me stop the recording here in just a few moments, so we don't have a bunch of dead air at the end of the recording, but I'm happy to stick around for any other questions or feedback you might have before the top of the hour here.